When you've finished entering the details about a purchase order, the purchase order must be confirmed and sent to the vendor to notify them of the intent to purchase those goods. When change management is enabled for purchase orders, the purchase order must first be submitted through workflow and approved before it can be confirmed. We will discuss this process later in the change management lesson. Purchase orders can be confirmed individually or in mass. There are also options to print a pro forma purchase order, which is like a draft. This lets you view the details before confirming and sending it to the vendor. Let's process a purchase order that we just created in AX. I've got the purchase order open that we created, and to confirm the purchase order, I'm going to go to the Purchase tab in the Action pane and then use the Confirmation button. When you click the Confirmation button, a new screen will open where I can select the details about how I want the purchase order to print or be sent to my vendor. I'm going to close the warning about this vendor not being authorized. At the top, you'll notice the quantity is set to my ordered quantity. You can see the purchase order on the lower half, and I can select options to decide how I want this to be printed. For my example, I'm going to go ahead and print the purchase order to my screen, and then use the Printer Setup button on the right to select the options for printing this to my screen. You'll notice it's defaulted to my screen, so I'll go ahead and click OK. When I'm ready, I'll go ahead and click OK again, which will generate the confirmation document and print it to my screen. Okay, so now that the purchase order has generated to my screen, I can review the details and then print it and either fax or email it to my vendor. When I'm done reviewing it, I'm just going to go ahead and close the window. You'll notice now that I've generated the confirmation, all of the confirmation buttons are grayed out. This means that the purchase order has been confirmed. If we close this window and refresh the status, you'll notice that the status of our purchase order is now confirmed. This indicates that a confirmation has been generated. A further change to this particular purchase order would indicate that it needs to be confirmed again. A purchase order that has not been confirmed cannot be received. Let's go ahead and select another order and review some other options available for confirmations. So I've selected purchase order number 36 here, and if I go to the Purchase tab in the Action pane, you'll notice another button here called Pro Forma Confirmation, which generates a pro forma copy of the same document. When you click this button, it opens a screen similar to the last one, and it can be printed as well. The only difference when you print a pro forma is that on the top portion of the document that's generated, it will say Pro Forma Confirmation instead of just Confirmation. The last option for generating a confirmation is to use the Confirm button. This button performs the same action as the confirmation button without opening the options screen. This is useful when you want to perform a one-click confirm and the settings have already been determined. In my example, if I click this button, it will generate the confirmation and print it to my screen in the same way that the last purchase order was confirmed. The last option for processing a purchase order is the finalizing process. When the purchase order encumbrance process is enabled, or if you are using budget checking on purchase orders, you might have to reverse encumbrances or relieve a reservation of the budget funds when a purchase order is canceled or on back order and the products are not going to be received. When you finalize a purchase order and purchase order lines, the system releases the budget fund allocations. You can do this by clicking the Finalize button right below the Confirm button. Now that we have reviewed the steps for creating and processing a purchase order, join me in the next lesson where I'll talk about how to receive a purchase order.